Draft pod, baby. We're doing it. We're getting into these running backs. It's time. How many would we draft in the top 100? How many future starters? How many first rounders? We've got you covered. The latest from around the web in the mock world and what we're looking at going into the combine next week in Indy. Starting now.
That's true. That's true.
DNVR Draft Pod, baby. We're doing it. Back with the full crew. Well, J Mike and Fort Collins. But
Shout
that's
out J
okay.
Mike.
Shout out J Mike.
Shout out
Coming
Fort
to you.
Collins.
Shout out to Fort Collins. No better way to go up to Fort Collins than in a Toyota. We, of course, coming to you live from the Toyota Lounge in downtown Denver. Toyota, an official vehicle of DNVR. I am joined by the man, the myth, the legend, the man they call the Schwan Man. Actually, only I call him the Schwan Man. I think that should catch on at some point. There he is.
It's been almost 3 years.
It's
Does
not
Schwans
catching on,
still
huh?
exist?
Schwans?
Yeah, the guy who comes in the big yellow truck and delivers food to your house.
The Schwan Man.
Whoa,
Have
that's
you never
a
heard
thing?
of Yeah.
Dre.
Yeah, this is crazy. I just assumed you knew because you always
Oh,
call him the
man.
Schwan Man. They like deliver like you frozen foods. It's like, hey, I think
Is
it
this
used to
a
be out of catalogs.
Schwan microwave dinner?
I don't know that you might. It might be more oven.
It is
but
more oven based,
yeah.
I believe. Yes.
It's higher quality.
Oven
Yes.
based.
No, they literally bring it to your house.
Yeah, and they drop it off.
Huh.
We ordered from the Schwan's Man for a bit. I
We
think-
did for like a few years
Yeah.
at my house. His name was Chris. He was a cool guy.
The Schwan Man.
He was the Schwan Man.
He
Holy
was.
shit.
He was.
That's crazy. We wow. We of course we're a factor meal company now. So
Facts.
True.
Facts.
but that could be the Schwan Man delivering those. It
Yes.
sounds like a versatile term. We are also joined by, I almost said Minnesota's finest. No, that's wrong. Montana's finest. That's right. Do not get your northern states mixed up. I would never, of course.
No.
No,
No.
you never get anything mixed up.
FCS country's finest product.
Yeah, which I used to say, actually, FCS is everywhere. But no, we own that.
You do.
We own
you
that.
do.
Yeah. And
It
again,
also
like,
works out that Wentz and Trey Lance never panned out because you can
Yeah.
really like keep that
yeah,
stamp on the FCS yours.
totally. And again, like, because Montana, we get kind of grouped in with the Dakotas and all that. Fun fact, I grew up closer to the Pacific Ocean than either of the Dakotas.
Wow.
Huh.
Yeah, but nobody ever thinks of Montana
But
that way.
in fairness,
Montana's
not
massive,
like
though,
It
isn't it?
is.
not like very close to the Pacific
No,
Ocean.
just more so the lesson is very far from everything.
Are you closer to the Pacific Ocean than where we currently stand?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. Because the country gets wider down here. Plus, I was slightly further west.
That explains all his West Coast bias, huh? Jake?
Yeah, it sure does.
Just this
Exactly.
guy might as well be a pretty California boy.
Yeah.
So
Back
close.
in my day, I was.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. The man, the myth, the legend, Riley Sorbo is behind the sticks. And we've got a fun one for you. Talking
again.
to running backs, getting into the position that's got us all enthralled in this draft. But first, talking through some mocks on the interwebs. Where, I don't know, are these mocks getting tired? Am I getting tired?
We're at the point of draft season where it's just like, F it. I'm going to throw this at the wall and see what sticks.
Exactly. Because
Yeah.
we're through the point where it's like, at this point, a good mock just looks the same as every other good mock.
Right.
Like there was like a couple different picks, like, oh, this guy actually is 7, not 9.
Uh-huh.
Or like this guy's and so like we've hit the point where it's like, okay, every mock is the same. It's time just to do dumb stuff in our mocks to make them interesting still.
It's why I enjoyed that CBS one I sent you guys.
It's dumb, but I did enjoy
Whoa.
it. No. I mean, I enjoyed it.
No, in fairness,
It's
it
the
is
best
dumb.
mock I've read in a week. DJ has a good mock.
Dang.
But outside the DJ mock, maybe the best. But it is dumb.
What stood out to you in the DJ mock? 3 RBs in the first round I thought was noteworthy. The Broncos passing on Ashton Jeanty for Colston
Yes.
Loveland also felt noteworthy. Where do you want to take it, though?
Just a couple guys who I've been kind of banging the drum for. He's got Walter Nolan at 12th overall to the Cowboys. I thought he'd be a nice fit for the Broncos
boy.
at 20. But
Nolan's stock has just
Yes.
rocketed.
I'm not
Where does
surprised.
he rank among Nolans now?
Gosh, Nolan, Ryan, Arenado, and then I think
Jones.
you're in the mix.
Yeah, it's certainly ahead of
Nolan
Jones.
Smith?
No, Smith would be in front still. Smith is having a
Yeah,
moment.
with the Super Bowl and the parade performance, Nolan Smith is actually making a
Yeah.
strong case.
We are encouraged by the parade performance, right? That's the energy we like.
Yeah, though I'll say this from a scouting standpoint, clear that lighter edge rushers can handle their booze less at the parade.
Also true.
You know, you want someone who can
Yes.
set the edge and is pushing more 280. I think they'll hold their liquor a little better than a 245 pound edge
Bradley
rusher.
Chubb is making he's there the entire parade.
Right.
Yeah.
Vaughn
Right.
had a solid parade performance, didn't he?
Yeah. Nick Benito, on
Yeah.
the other hand, you know,
Yeah.
He's about the same size as Vaughn.
might want to drink
Sidebar
some
Nick-
water.
Nick Benito. Sidebar Nick Benito.
Oh, sure. Sidebar me.
How concerned are we about that playoff game? Because again, like, got pushed around a little bit. Eventually saw a lot more Dondre Tillman just because you needed somebody big to set the edge. And in general, I've gotten myself to the point where it's like, okay, you got pushed around in the trenches. I'm not concerned about it. But individually, like, sometimes that thought is still in your mind.
But this is who he is, though, right? Like,
Yep.
we knew he was a finesse pass rusher,
Yeah.
if you will.
For a second, though, he was playing the run so well.
He was, yeah. But he was also
Deion
a bit of a
Dawkins.
project type player,
Yeah.
too.
Well, answering your question and going right back to Daniel Jeremiah
Yes.
of NFL Network's mock draft, I found it fascinating that he had Mike Green from Marshall 9th overall.
Yeah.
Jalen Walker from Carolina or from Georgia 8th overall. Those are lighter edges. And one of my thoughts as I'm seeing takes post Senior Bowl, I'm seeing these mocks, I'm seeing this, that, and the other on draft Twitter is
A lot of the other.
we get into that in the offseason and we forget all about big edges and how it is important to defend the run and how defending the run is really what matters come November, December, January, and February football. And we're just like, screw it. Give me the premier trait. Give me the guy who can get after it, bend the edge. And that's how we should view Nick Benito. Can we nitpick?
Exactly.
Sure, we can nitpick all we want. But there's that one thing he can do that overcomes
Yep.
all the other things that he might not be able to do. And you can find an undrafted rookie who achieves the things he can't do. Oh, holy shit. Well, that seems like a very easy fix.
Precisely.
But just make sure that you're ready to make that little switch when you need to.
Yeah.
Maybe don't let it fester quite as long as it festered.
Right. Like, look, my wife makes incredible chocolate chip cookies. You know what the trick is? A little salt.
Oh.
Sweet and salty. But everything can't be my wife's cookies, you know?
Okay.
Everything can't bring both things at once. Sometimes you're just going to have to deal with sweet. Sometimes you're just going to have to deal with savory. You can't expect everything from everyone all the time.
But it would be smart to say,
What a
hey,
bar that
hey,
is.
wife, let's make the chocolate chip cookies tonight, not the brownies. Because that's what you're good at.
Yeah, I mean, that's a scenario that's never presented itself. And if it did, I'd be like, bring 'em.
Okay, I think we handled
Give it
the
all
sidebar.
to me.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So, yes, Nick Benito,
Thanks
I'm
for the
in.
sidebar.
The lighter edge rushers are in.
Yes.
Back to FCS country. Boy, the Grey Zabel love is crazy. 2 of the mocks I wanted to go over. This Daniel Jeremiah one and Kyle Krabs on the 33rd team. both have him at 18 going to the Seattle Seahawks. I'm all about him in the top 50, but God, top 20?
Yeah.
Seems rich. Ahead of Ashton Jeanty? Holy cow, what are we doing right now?
It is one of those where it's like, you have these two guys next to each other and say like, okay, Gray Zabel did all the things that he did. Ashton Jeanty, how could anybody say, I want that guy on the left, Gray Zabel, instead of Heisman Trophy runner-up Ashton Jeanty? I get there's positional value and all that. Sneaky, though, I would love if we could get to the point where we say we like him at 20, because I brought this up a couple months ago. I said, it'd be really nice if there was a center in this class who you could justify at pick 20, because while, you know, it maybe isn't number one on your list of needs, and Luke Wattenberg did some great things, and running it back makes sense, there's also a chance that if you just go get an awesome center, that this offensive line is totally unlocked, and next thing you know, you have a 100-yard rusher at some point in the season.
Yeah. Now, we've seen Sean do this, go after premier centers when no one else expected it. I think you could find other guys that you could push inside at center.
Sure.
Maybe long-term could
Fair.
be converted to tackle when McGlinchey or Garrett Bowles are up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or you wait and take a center a little later on. I don't know that you need to do it at 20 for a pure center and a guy with 32-inch arms who's never going to be able to play tackle for you.
Yeah.
That seems rich to me.
And I honestly, I wish I hadn't wasted my sidebar already, because like Mekhi Becton, I think a fun conversation is, do you now consider bouncing him out to tackle at some point?
Yeah.
If you do lose, now that, does he have his feet under him, or is he truly a guard? But we can have that conversation a different time.
I've thought a lot about Mekhi Becton as well.
I have as well.
Yeah. This CBS mock draft is crazy. Chris Tarapasso from CBS, I actually think does a great job. If you want to hate on CBS's draft coverage, they used to employ Dane Brugler before any of you knew him and thought he was nothing. So in 2 years, you'll be doing the same about Chris Tarapasso. So we're merely early adopters.
He's a genius.
He had safety Nick Anawari 5th overall.
This is crazy.
Yeah.
What else is standing out as bonkers to you, Jakester? Or Schwan, man, I'm sorry.
Mason Graham should not be the 7th player off the board.
Sooner.
Way sooner. He's like a top 5 player in this draft. I know it's 5 and 7. You know, we're splitting hairs, but that's crazy to me.
I got Quinnen Williams vibes from him.
Huh.
Where I'm like, yeah, I agree he's a consensus top 5 guy in this class. I do feel like in 4 years, are we going to feel like he was one of the 5 best prospects coming out? Or is he just like
He's
a
a
really
safe pick.
good defense? You know, like, is he Christian Wilkins, who, again, phenomenal player, but would I have drafted Christian Wilkins 5th overall? Probably not.
Fair.
True. Your guy, Landon Jackson, back in the first round here.
LJ.
I actually had not seen.
Oh, he rules.
Yeah, I hadn't seen
he's
him
fun.
without a helmet.
Yeah.
Which I
think he's got alopecia.
yes, and he looks
no doubt.
tough as hell. I love him. I think that when you watch him,
Funny how with a football player, alopecia plays way different than as a basketball player.
interesting. Yeah, separate podcast. But I think, again, when I watched him for the first time, I was like,
God.
wait, why are we not talking about him more? Because, again, what is he listed? 6'7", 280. He's just a monster.
If you watch the Bama tape from 23, you're like, wait, this guy's a top 8 prospect,
just
right?
in the backfield over and over and over and over. And it's like, if you like what
And he's
Jonathan
like
Cooper
6'7",
brings to the team,
270.
280.
Yeah.
6'7", 280.
Yeah.
This guy's a freak. He looks like, it's one of those where it's like sometimes, again, this is like maybe a little too, he's a white guy, so he reminds me of white, but sometimes you're like, why can't he just be like an Aiden Hutchinson, like dominant edge? Like, again, he's even bigger than that. So if he's a pick at 20, I'd love him at 20.
Wow.
Landon
Jackson has entered the chat.
He has entered the chat. And I meant it, we did edge rushers last time, and he was on my list, but podcast was kind of moving along and didn't have time, but he was my favorite.
Now he's going to be
Not the best,
someone,
but my favorite.
I mean, we'll get to combine, but he's someone who could absolutely, in the next couple of weeks, just torpedo his draft stock. Or I guess torpedo's not the right word. Go upward. Torpedo
Rocket
upward.
ship.
Yeah.
Rocket ship.
Yeah.
Bashal Tutton?
I know. We got to
Yeah.
get into this, and we're going to talk running backs in a second. So we'll get to the most surprising of the first round picks from the CBS mock and some other takeaways, and then start talking running backs here in just a sec. Before a quick break, though, where I got to tell you about Coors Light. Look, man, the circumstances are different. The seasons are different. The frustration's often the same. Whether I'm getting ticked off by bad takes on draft Twitter or
happens to all of us.
Upset about the state of the world, whatever it may be. House chores.
How's the soccer team doing?
Oh, terrible.
Talking about that.
Terrible.
Sorry to bring it up.
Deep, dark
Yeah.
hole they are putting me in.
Might as well just be 11 Alyssa Milanos out there.
100%.
That's an AC Milan.
Though shout out to her, she'd probably do a better job.
Damn.
Probably.
Alyssa, we stand a queen, okay?
Yes.
No matter what, though, it's always nice to choose chill with a silver bullet when the mountains turn blue. And the beer could not be better. So crisp, so refreshing. It's Coors Light, baby. Choose chill this winter and then reach out for a Coors Light. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door and visit CoorsLight.com/DNVR. You know it. Or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly, baby. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. And, of course, our good friends at Bet365. The reason Henry knows that my stupid soccer team
Yes.
lost this week
sure were
and
stupid.
was eliminated by the highest competition in European club football is because he had a bet. You got a nice little
boost. So what I love,
shorty get loose.
so
Blame it on the
typically
boost.
about every day they have like 30% boost
Oh,
on
yeah.
something.
Oh,
and so you get
yeah.
to build the SGP, has to be at least 3 legs, has to be at least plus 100.
Bet365
So
for
what
you,
I
baby.
love is like Avs minus 130 in this game. Okay, so you take the minus 130. It's like, okay, Nathan McKinnon, 2 shots on goal. He does it every time. It gets it up to like minus 110. Miko, rest in peace. I loved adding him as just 1 shot on goal. It gets up to plus 100
or Martin
exactly.
Netchus
Boost-
with a goal. Then you stick in the Avs money line. So many fun ways to go about it. All you have to do is sign up using our code DNVR365. All sorts of
I've got
great
the Munder tonight.
custom bets. Fun times. And you sign up, bet 5, get $100 in bonus bets. QR code there. Link in the description. Must be 21 plus, physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you, someone you know, has a gambling problem, wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Okay, Jake. There was one pick in this mock that is just bananas.
Yes.
Bashal Tudd.
Yeah.
I mean, I like him.
Virginia Tech running back.
Nice back.
He is. He is.
He cannot go ahead of Omarion Hampton and Travion Henderson.
Or Caleb Johnson.
Or Caleb Johnson.
Quinshawn Judkins.
Cam Scadaboo. I mean, how many names do we want to throw out that we like? I mean, I like Tutton too.
Yeah.
He's a good player.
Damn tootin', you like him.
No. We should say this is a mock draft that
Such
Mr. Chris
silliness.
put together based on like who he thinks is going to blow up at the combine and then like rise up the draft boards. Because again, we're past like real mock draft time into like here's a theme mock draft. I think it's a fun theme, and I think it's a fun conversation. I also think, as I said before, it is dumb to say this guy's a first-round pick.
You think so, huh?
I mean, we said it before, or I told you upstairs, like, if you're looking for a guy who's going to, like, change the angle on an Old Dominion linebacker and, like, get upfield, this is your guy, because he can cook against, like, those guys. But is he actually doing that sort of thing in the NFL? And again, that's why in this sort of mock draft where it's like he could just have a crazy 40 time.
He did have 1,100 rushing yards
Yeah,
in the ACC
totally.
with 17 touchdowns and 6.3 yards per clip.
That's fine.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I mean, and in Tara Passo's defense, he says if there's a huge combine ahead for
Yep.
Tootin, he has dynamic enough film to be picked in round 1. The Chargers get a young, bouncy rusher in the second year of the Jim Harbaugh year.
And this would be something Harbaugh would do too. Just say, screw it. I like this running back. He fits this system. We're taking him because they do need a running back. So
Another surprise pick here at the end is Joshua Farmer, Florida State, which is funny if the Rams just went after another Seminole D lineman after
reassemble the
having
whole team. Yeah.
such luck with Verse and Fisk. And it's Joshua Farmer, the defensive lineman, really defensive tackle for the Knowles. That was another rich pick, but I like that. I like seeing some switch ups.
Yeah. It's fun. I don't think it's correct. I think that, again,
I mean,
we're
Farmer,
past the point where
Farmer I could see more than Tootin.
me too. Me tootin'.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, speaking of running backs, how many backs do you guys think could go round one?
I think DJ's right. It's at least 3.
Oh, at least 3.
I mean, Travion Henderson, we'll get to the combine. He's going to run the fastest 40, if not one of the fastest 40s. And people are going to see that and go, okay, we just need this guy.
We need a Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah, look at his production. I mean, what else? Honestly, what is a true knock on Travion Henderson?
The knock would be that he got kind of put into a secondary role when Quinshon Judkins was added to the mix.
I think there was concerns if he was going to be the same guy, have that same burst, though, after his freshman season. Because I think he tore his ACL.
Yep.
Well, and the just injuries, I think they wanted to kind of have a backup plan in case Henderson did go down. But that's truly, I think, the only knock.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again,
Because he's good between the tackles. The burst is incredible. Balance is phenomenal.
Catch out of the
speed is great.
backfield. Yeah.
Right. Catches it out the backfield. In fact, he excels at that. One of the best backs in the entire class. And yeah, I mean, now he's becoming more and more consensus RB2, and we kind of talked about it, right? That was one of our cards on
Buy or sell.
Buy or sell.
Yep.
We all bought him as RB2.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite players in this
Me too.
draft, and this is no slight to Omarion Hampton because I think he's a great player too,
Yep.
and someone will probably see him as a first round or top 40 pick as well.
Yep. Yeah, that's the thing. Maybe first rounder is tough, but guys that'll go off the clock before the Broncos are back on the clock at 51.
100%.
That's a long list.
100%.
I think it's for sure Ashton Jeanty, for sure Travion Henderson, for sure Marion Hampton,
Caleb
for
Johnson.
sure Caleb Johnson, probably Quinshon Judkins.
Okay.
And if all but one of those guys went in round one, I'm not blinking an eye, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to be that surprised.
I've been a little disappointed in Judkins.
Tell me about it.
Should we get into that now? Or is
Absolutely.
This, okay. He does a lot of different things. Like, he's well-rounded. He has some like Javonte vibes in terms of like the get off me, stiff arm, run you over type
Contact
stuff.
balance, yeah.
Contact balance. I almost think he's a little small. I don't know if the top end speed is there. I wonder if this is somebody who you draft to be like a good running back, but is never really necessarily like a game changer for you, is the vibe I got. And I also get the feeling where a lot of it is like, because
Listed at 219.
is he just looks a little smaller out there, I guess. Maybe it's just the
He was
size,
kind of their
the height,
power
sorry.
back this season.
I know, but it feels like he's out there like fighting for every yard, which you love, but also it didn't feel like he ever was like, let's just run away from a guy. And I don't know.
He did a lot more of that at Ole Miss.
Okay.
That's
And
what
I
it
didn't
is.
go back and watch it.
Yes.
Classic transfer tape.
Okay.
Where it's like he was kind of relegated to the power back role at Ohio State.
Okay.
And it was like, whoa, he's like, that's not his game. He's not a power back. Now he's got good power for a guy as shifty as he is. But Ole Miss, you got to see a lot more of the shiftiness, the other parts of his game. And that's what gets me excited. And for me, I'll tell you, he's ahead of Caleb Johnson. He's RB4 for me.
Interesting.
Not mad at it. I mean, he actually averaged 5.5 yards per carry this last year, which was his best. I mean, he only played 3 seasons, but he had 5.7 his freshman year at Ole Miss. Yeah, maybe it was just a role thing, I think, because it is the elusiveness and like more finesse parts of his game is there. It's at Ole Miss that you saw it more because they had Travion Henderson at Ohio State.
Yep. Totally. And I think that's the other piece of it is I just like Travion Henderson. So like you go and you watch Travion Henderson, every time they give the ball to Travion Henderson, you're seeing one thing, and you see Quinshon, you're like, it's not.
Well,
there's a difference.
That's a classic scouting dilemma of like
Bijan and
I remember before I was even studying this stuff, I was like, Noshawn and Matthew Stafford in that same backfield in Georgia, they're both first rounders, and Georgia didn't even win the SEC. Like, this doesn't make sense. Maybe they did, and they didn't win a natty, you know, but like the point remained. Now, Ohio State did win a natty.
Yes.
they did. Absolutely.
Like they couldn't have done much better.
And played all the games except for their conference title game, I think, right?
Yeah.
Or no, they did. Did they play in the conference title
no
game?
Big Ten title. That was Oregon, Penn State.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
Classic Midwestern rivalry. Of
So
course.
you missed one game there, but it's an NFL season damn near's worth of work.
Totally. Yeah. Here's what I think that like cool, you broke this into 8 yards, 10 yards, 12 yards, which I appreciate, but just not the freaky roll of the dice, see if this guy's a monster. Oh, I wanted comp. That's what it was. Who does he remind you of? And I threw like a Josh Jacobs out there as like a ceiling type, but I'm struggling to come up with one myself.
At Ole Miss, he kind of had some Alvin Kamara to his game, like the shiftiness to it.
Yeah.
There's more of a like downhill element.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a tough comp, and then he's got some feistiness to him that's almost.
He does. Marshani, if you want to get crazy.
Yeah, right. I was thinking more who was the like hard back in Dallas a couple years back.
What do you
Ezekiel Elliott?
No, like Wave.
Oh, Emmitt Smith.
No.
Julius Jones?
How
Don't-
far
Back are you
McFadden?
going?
Don't worry about listing off old Cowboys running backs. Who are your top 5 backs in this class, Jake?
1, Ashton Jeanty.
Yep. That was
2,
easy.
Travion Henderson.
Correct.
3, Omarion Hampton. 4, Caleb Johnson. And then 5, I got to show my guy love, Cam Scatterbu. Wow. It's just,
Wow.
I've got to stand on it, bro. What I saw the last 2 years was, he was the entire offense. People underrate his ability out of the backfield as a pass catcher. They don't love his size, but the guy runs through everything. Mm-hmm. I think in Sean Payton, what he's looking for, the Joker, that's exactly what you're looking for.
Yeah, and I had the same order. I just wasn't quite willing to commit and put that 5
Let's
in
go.
there.
I love it.
Because I was like, again, like, how do you not put Quinshon Judkins there? How do you not put a Devin Neal there? The 5th spot is where it gets really hard for me. And I think there's a case for Scatterbu. I think he's just 100% muscle. Like, it's tough to say, like, does he have a stronger upper body, stronger lower body? Because he'll run through guys, he'll throw guys off him. Like, it's pretty insane to watch. And he looks to me like a playoff running back, which honestly we kind of saw in the actual playoff this year. Because you get to the end of the season and you need to get 4 yards. He's going to go get you 4 yards and keep you on schedule. Like, there's some CJ Anderson vibes there.
But you don't like that about Quinshon Judkins?
No, there's some of that there too. And again, I think Judkins probably is the responsible choice, but you think back, like, he reminds me of some of those like Patriots type playoff running backs where it's like LeGarrette Blount, Leonard Fournette. Even after we knew Leonard Fournette isn't what we thought he was able to go get you those 4 yards, keep the offense on track. But also
Playoff
like
Lenny, yeah.
Those aren't necessarily the things that none of those guys you needed to spend big assets to go get.
His versatility is outstanding.
And the versatility.
And I've heard the James Conner comp come up more. Yeah, I mean,
that one doesn't move the needle too much for me.
Yeah, but no, he could have some Taysom Hill type utility to his game, I think is what you're saying. He's not James Conner big. He might be Taysom Hill big. Yes. He's like 225 pounds.
That is fine. What are we talking about?
That is big.
I know. We'd love 240 though. That's LeGarrette Blount, James Conner
is
size.
225 the new 240 in the NFL though?
Potentially, but then you don't get to call Quinshon Judkins small
Fair.
at 220.
Well, fair.
Do you want to hear my real take about this draft class? This running back draft class?
Are you giving us non-real takes?
No, I am.
Are you only doing that when we give you permission?
The Broncos need to get 2 of these running backs in this draft class.
Well, we've said it on some platform or conversation. Running backs, tight end, wide receivers combined, they need to come out of this offseason with 5 of those.
Yes.
Yeah.
5.
And I've been team, you draft one and you get a free agent.
Yes.
More and more I'm thinking, like, do you just draft 2?
Yeah, pretty much.
If you're, especially with the cap constraints still with the Russell Wilson thing, like, why not go that bargain route for now? Because it's going to take until the end of Bo Nix's rookie deal for you to really cash in on that that advantage.
Can I hit you with my scenario, my role play that I had before? It's a Cam Scatterbu themed role play.
Let's hear it.
Okay.
So pretend you're Bo Nix.
Uh-huh.
It's 3rd and 5. You break the huddle. You walk up to the line of scrimmage. They're rushing 4. You got Cam Scatterbu next to you. And you're like, okay, we don't need the pass protection. We're flexing Cam out. And just for like argument's sake, just to make this easy for people to comprehend, it's Alex Singleton who follows him out there to the slot.
Sure.
3rd and 5.
Yeah.
You can run him on a little slant. You can run him on a little out. Are you taking that matchup? Are we that confident that his like mobility, all that sort of stuff, is that good that we really like it that much?
Cam Scadaboo?
Yep.
100%.
On Alex Singleton, we take that slant every time.
100%.
If we're 100%, then I'm sold. Is he really separating though?
I don't know. I don't know
There
that
we
he's that
go.
crisp
There
or
we
a route
go.
runner.
Oh,
I
there
don't-
we go.
And there's probably like there's like 8 running backs I trust more in that scenario.
And I'm kind of right there. But I'm not going to be surprised if we actually really love that. And I love him as like a general third down. Like, you bring him in there, he can protect, he can leak out, he can make play after catch. But as a true joker, flex him out there. Do we love that matchup so much that we say there's a linebacker, it's Alex Singleton, he's going to win this and we're going to feed him?
It's a great question.
Thank you.
Could we take a quick break
Yes,
and then
yes,
you
yes.
answer
Okay.
on the other side? Because it's a great question. And then we'll get into all those other running backs. But first, a shout out to our friends at Toyota. You know, if you were getting lost in the mountains with Toyota, you wouldn't run into any of the technical problems we are running into right now. I mean, Jake, you were stranded on Highway 36 going up to Boulder, and with our dear friend Rhino, who, let me tell you, RK would love an invite on this show. I think he's got to up his study a little bit
I
to
agree.
be
Facts.
worthy enough.
I agree.
That's just
100%.
but as far as Toyota care goes, they took good care of you guys on 36. Got you back here on time.
Yes,
Other
they
technical difficulties that Toyota's able to overcome for us. It's just glorious. Trucks, SUVs, they're a part of Toyota's DNA. It's why they are such a beautiful Colorado car, such a trusty family car. All sorts of great options for you. Visit your Front Range Toyota stores at a location near you. AutoNation Toyota, Arapahoe and Centennial. Corwin Toyota in Boulder. Groove Toyota in Littleton. Mountain States Toyota in Denver. Stevenson Toyota East in Aurora. Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. Toyota, the official automotive partner of the NFL.
What a silly read.
And the official vehicle of DNVR. Toyota, let's go places. I don't know. I could just see you out the corner of my eye looking at me, Hank. And I was like, am I... Especially on the dealership names, I feel like I'm mispronouncing a few, you
Sometimes
know?
Because you think
So-
it'd just get easier every time you do it. Because you read the same names in the same order.
Right.
But
Not that
sneaking
one.
gets tougher every time.
Yep.
And also, in fairness, my timing's all been a little thrown off by some of the technical difficulties, but that's okay. If you also would like to start cracking up because you see Henry out of the corner of your eye, DNVR events, baby. DNVR bar. Koufax
We'll be
in
here
York.
tonight.
Big Hank's gonna be here, USA all the way, rooting on the boys.
Canada.
or Canada. You know, we are in a world divided.
We are.
We are united
case
no
you haven't
matter
heard.
who you root for. Speaking of Canadians, join Eric Lacroix, Michelle Goulet at the takeover, Avs takeover at Ball Arena in a suite, living that sweet life. That's right, baby. You can do it with that QR code, ddnvr.com/events. Great Nuggets takeovers as well. You know, all sorts of great stuff going on. No better way to track it and check it all out than right there. The floor is yours, Drake.
Cam Scadaboo caught 45 passes for 600 yards this last year.
Not bad.
I love him when it comes to screens, when it comes to dump downs. When it comes to him in the slot, in the NFL, does he have the burst
That's
to get
the
away?
thing. I think we are starting to, in Broncos country, abuse the term joker running back. And joker running back does not mean receiving back. It
Yes.
means a back so versatile that when flexed out into the slot or out wide, it is presenting real mismatch problems for the person, for the defender who would otherwise follow them in a normal scenario.
I guess. Cam Scadaboo won in those scenarios, though.
He did.
He did.
He did.
He did. You're
You
not
don't think
wrong.
he can
What
get better?
What happens against Alex Singleton?
No, I
though?
agree, and I actually think if you saw the Sac State tape where he's used even more versatility,
remember.
you would buy into that vision more.
What happens if he's matched up on Alex Singleton? Cam Scadaboo's getting 10 yards like
Yeah,
he
he's
did
probably cooking.
probably every
Yeah,
single
he's
reception
probably
he did last
cooking.
year.
If you put, I don't know, Drew Tranquil on him, is the result the same? You know, is he feasting on two down back running linebackers, or is he able to feast on all linebackers? Would then be the next question.
And then safeties would be the final question.
And these are the combos they're having
Sure, I
in
mean-
draft rooms right now, right? As they're
I
going
get
through
it.
their boards and stacking them and 5's rich for me, guys. He's my running back 14, and I thought I was
fair.
pretty high on Cam Scatterby.
14? You think there's 13 running backs better than Cam
I'll just say,
Scatterby?
again, though,
I think
like,
there's 12 guys who I project as future starters and top 100 picks.
Wow.
And he's right there. He's right there on the verge of being one of them for me, you know?
The guy's just an animal. You just
Oh,
bet
he's
on
an
players
animal.
like that. in
He's
my
an
opinion.
animal.
again,
And
just 100% muscles. Get off me. Get off me. Get
also,
off me.
like, teach tape contact balance and
Yes.
teach tape power. It's okay. You
Stuff
can
that you
lean down
can't
and
even
get it.
teach.
No problem. No problem.
Again, those swing passes, the screens, all that stuff. There are so many things you can do with him. As like a pure third down running back, like he'll either pass protect or leak out and catch the ball and run. You love him. It just comes down to like what you really want in a third down running back in Sean Payton offense isn't necessarily that pass protect. It's that flex it out. And I feel like that's the appeal that we get Cam Scatterby up there because that's what makes him like a total 3-down weapon. And I'm just a little bit hesitant. But I have hesitations about all those guys, and that's why I was really tempted to make him my number 5.
I just think we think too hard about it when it comes to him.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I don't think you're wrong.
Sean Payton made it work with Pierre Thomas catching passes out of the
He sure
backfield.
did.
Shout out, Pierre.
Shout out, Pierre.
The guy who gives me trouble, who's just outside my top 5, my RB6, is Raheem Rocket Sanders, a phenom since he was a freshman at Arkansas, transferred to South Carolina, and had some truly impressive games in the SEC last season, including that almost upset of Alabama. Was that the one? Oh, no, it's when they upset Texas A&M, who was ranked 10th at a time, and they beat them 44-20. Rocket has 144 rushing yards on 7.2 rush yards per carry, 2 tuds, 92 receiving yards on that one. He has for a bruising back listed at 230 downhill, has some like Adrian Peterson to his run style. Okay. He's got a great combination of power and has over 50 career receptions in his career, over 600 receiving yards in his career. I do not know why this former freshman phenom, a guy that we've penciled in for like 4 years, I was like, yep, we'll be talking about him in 2025, is suddenly just like forgotten. And honestly, maybe he's not draft out. Maybe he went back to school and I'm missing something.
I think he was at an all-star game, I thought.
Oh, yeah, he was at the Shrine, right?
Where he was coached by a Broncos assistant.
Yes, he was.
Yes.
Yep.
I don't get it, man. Like the thing, and I think this would be a case for you guys for Cam.
That's fair.
I think this would be a case for the Caleb Johnson defenders out in the world. The NFL is a size game. The NFL draft is a size game. And when you have a guy that's 230 and can do that kind of stuff against that A&M defense, which was stacked with talent, I buy it. I'm buying.
Yeah. People forget how good South Carolina was at the end of the year, too.
Yes.
That was a really good team, and he was...
That was the debate
engine.
is, should they be the 12th team?
Totally.
Yeah,
over
totally.
Bama, you know?
Yeah. No, I mean, again, just... Is it the well-roundedness, which is why people don't... Again, maybe what I fell into a bit with the Quinshon Judkins is the well-roundedness that where it's not like, look at Caleb Williams, he's so tall. And it's just like there are things that stand out where he feels like...
I think there's some injury scares with him, too.
Okay.
Isn't that why he left
Arkansas, yeah. It's why there's some lack of continuity. Okay. But, Travion, we're willing to do it with him. Why wouldn't I do it with Rocket? Then I've got the second best running back in the Big Ten, Kyle Monangi from Rutgers.
Wow.
Dude, look him up.
Okay.
He's Ashton Jeanty. He's Big Ten Ashton Jeanty. Like, this kid is low to the ground. Contact balance is insane. Power is nuts. Burst is wild. This guy, and let me say this. Most years that we've been doing this, Jake, we'd be talking about these guys as our top running back in the class. When that top running back's going like mid-second, these guys would be top of the class. They're 7th, 8th this year. Dylan Sampson out of Tennessee, holy cow.
Yep.
That guy's insane.
Yes. Yep.
What,
So
SEC
explosive.
Player of the year?
I'll
check.
say so.
I'll check.
I'll say so, sure.
I mean,
but
he was their offense.
right, and Tennessee, pretty good playoff team last I checked.
Yes.
He was just incredible, and that's before we
Still
got to
only 20.
my babe, Rashard Smith, who I know is picking up some some juice, but the converted Miami wide receiver and star of that SMU offense, he is a true joker running back in this class. One of the few true jokers. Reminds me of a poor man's Reggie Bush in some ways, you know? By the way, yesterday I was thinking Reggie Bush in this NFL, holy cow.
It's a thought
absolutely.
I've had a lot. Dylan Sampson, yes, SEC Offensive Player of the Year. 1,485 yards, 22 rushing touchdowns. Are we overthinking it? He's only 20 years old, did that in the SEC. And the SEC.
He's a beast. And to me, these guys, my top 7 backs, top 8, in fact, once we get to Sampson, they're like top 50 players on my board.
No Devin Neal yet. He's a popular one.
Brashard Smith and then Devin Neal.
Why Devin Neal so low?
I think he's good. I think the other guys are just better. He is older than most of the guys I've just mentioned. The vision's nice. The lateral quickness and feet are really nice.
Yep.
Does he dance a smidge too much in the backfield? Can he work as a non-shotgun running back, right? The hardest conversion for all these running backs is 90% of the snaps they took in college out of the gun.
Mm-hmm. And that's where you look at a kill.
Well, now it's going to be under center and, you know, like more I formation type looks. And it's a different deal, reading the line and, you know, approaching everything with a head of steam. And I do worry that Neal maybe in that, some of his impact is lessened just a little bit.
That's fair. With the dancing, so much of that just is like instincts, or just like the special instincts where it's like, even downfield, you see him like kind of break a tackle and he'll just kind of like high knee out of it and then throw a spin move on the next guy. Some of that is what's happening behind the line of scrimmage too, though, where it's like, it's not necessarily him just like being indecisive or not knowing where to go as much as I think he just has insane instincts. To me, again, the concern is similar. It's the I form, but it's also like, you watch him play against Oklahoma, you watch him play against Texas, and you're like, this looks like a child out there. Like, this looks like a junior high kid trying to play against those. And it's not because of the production. It's because those other guys are just so much bigger. He just looks so small. And I buy the same thing where it's like, I don't know that he's a between the tackles type guy, but I wonder if you could develop him into a really, really good, honestly, kind of true joker. Where it's like you see it sometimes when he's running routes out of the backfield, where it's just like he is so fast, he gets behind the linebackers so quickly and can kind of stretch that part of the field. If they flex him out a little bit more, which I think they did, they did a decent amount. Maybe when we were going through like who played out of the slot the most among running backs, draft eligible guys, he's like 7th, which is pretty good, a little more than Dylan Sampson. I was lower on him than I wanted to be, but I do wonder if he does have some of that game-breaking type stuff.
And he's 215.
Which is crazy because he doesn't look like it.
He doesn't play like it. But
he doesn't.
That
True.
should be a selling point.
Absolutely.
A guy who kind of similar to your Rocket Sanders take, who had a great freshman year, he didn't have quite the numbers, but has just done it the last 3 years. Damian Martinez.
That's a guy in the chat.
What he did at Oregon State really impressed me
the
last 2 years. He obviously enters the portal, goes to Miami because Oregon State is kind of floundering in the greater landscape of things in college football. But he's playing with Cam Ward, who obviously is in conversation for first overall pick. Mm-hmm. They threw the ball a ton at Miami this last year. Mm-hmm. Damian Martinez wasn't going to get 250, 300 carries this year. He had 159, still hit 1,000 yards. Average 6.3 yards per carry. Not the best receiver out of the backfield, but can make it work at times.
Great boozing back.
Yeah, he's listed at like 230 something. You want to talk about big backs? That's who you should be talking about.
And a guy whose skills will play up in the NFL because that's the type, right? And actually, what he was doing at Oregon State, I think, will translate really 100%. Nicely.
I agree.
He
really
was
nice.
Their offense. In 2023, when Oregon State was a top 25 team, he was their player, their guy.
100%. And I mean, that's a team who was on the verge of being a 12-team playoff team if we were doing that a year ago.
Sure.
I mean, geez, Jake, we could just go through the running backs you covered because we just talked Devin Neal. Jonah Coleman's next on my list. He transferred to Washington. He was a star for Arizona a year ago when T-Mac and Fafita were blowing it up. That was also a team that was verge top 12, a year ago.
DJ Giddens, who the
DJ
chat brought up.
Giddens, the chat's brought up. God, Giddens, everything we've said about Neal applies to him. He might have a little more power to his game.
Yeah. Only listed at 200 pounds, though. But he does not play that way.
No.
I mean, he absolutely tore CU up this last year. Had 1,300 rushing yards, averaged 6.6 yards per carry, and has 58 career receptions out of the backfield. I like him. He's a great player, too.
He's really good.
Devin Neal, I mean, RJ Harvey.
RJ Harvey, UCF, right? One of the nation leaders in rushing yards.
He has, so this is just a graph I'm looking at here. It's 2025 running backs career explosive run percentage. That's 10 plus yards or more. Out of everyone in this class, RJ Harvey is number 1.
And he's built like a fire hydrant. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And he's the one guy who didn't play well against the Buffs. They kind of shut him down, but he's like powerful, low to the ground. He gets downhill, and he's shifty. He'll bounce.
Yeah.
He'll bounce off you and fight for extra yards.
Older guy though. Started his career in 2020, but the last 2 years, basically like 225 carries a year, but 1,400 yards in 23, 15, damn near 1,600 yards this last year, 22 touchdowns this year. Can catch the ball a bit out of the backfield. He burnt the Buffs. Probably UCF's best play that game was RJ Harvey catching a wheel out of the backfield for 70 yards.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Ollie Gordon.
What do you
Gordon,
think?
Another one.
I'm still in on Ollie Gordon.
Are you?
I don't know where exactly I put him. Because, again, like you would have thought he's right up there. He should be a first-round pick this year, but then he had the year he had on a terrible Oklahoma State team. I'm not sure where exactly I think he'd be a good pick. But, I mean, in terms of big backs, that dude is massive. And it does seem like maybe that burst is gone. Like, the speed just wasn't there the way it was before, which is concerning, especially for a guy who ran as much as he did. But he's just so physical. Like, the stiff arm. Again, like, I had fun. I watched him and Caleb Johnson back-to-back. And I had a thought. It seems like Ollie Gordon is almost better at getting off of tackles because you see him like stiff arm a guy.
He's
like,
strong, yeah.
He's like pushing through and brushes off a guy eventually. Sometimes I wonder if maybe that gets overrated because it feels like he has to work so hard to do it. It stands out. Whereas like Caleb Johnson hits an arm tackle in a hole and he's just gone. And because there's no like battle with the guy, it just doesn't feel like it's a thing that happened. But Ollie Gordon has like, again, some of that like beast mode type stuff. Where it's like, just get off me. And then he just keeps going. Maybe he is just like a Najee Harris, like doesn't have the explosiveness, will never be an efficient runner, but he can at least carry the rock a bunch of times, 20 times in a game.
Najee's a good comp.
Yeah, but
It is.
It's my concern.
The juice is gone.
It's my concern with Caleb Johnson as well. Is like they're big backs that once they get ahead of steam, watch out. But that initial burst to get there isn't always great. So they struggle in turning that 3-yard run into a 5-yard run. Often that 3-yard run will be a 2-yard run, you know? And I think that concerns me.
Which was a problem this year for the Broncos.
Yes.
With Javonte Williams, you weren't getting that hole while it was still open. You're taking at least you're breaking an arm tackle at the very least. You're not getting through free.
It's what I call the
clean.
Melvin Gordon prototype.
Yeah.
Samaje Perine, frankly, had some of that coming out of Oklahoma, too.
Caleb
Ramondre had that.
Totally. Ramondre had those quick feet, though, that we liked. We still love. $8 million a year is crazy for him, though.
Taj Brooks isn't getting hardly any love. He's played a lot of football, though. He has damn near 900 career carries in college, but was just an absolute beast for Texas Tech.
100%.
Corey Kiner at Cincinnati this last year. He impressed me in that game. He was at the Shrine Bowl. He looked good.
We haven't talked Trevor Etienne.
I mean,
when not injured at Georgia,
crazy class.
He looked incredible. Khalil Mullings took Donovan Edwards' job at Michigan. You want to talk power backs? I like Mullings
100%.
way more than I do Ollie Gordon, and I like Ollie Gordon.
Fair.
I mean, we could just go on and on. I think I have like 12 top 100 guys, which means future starters who I project as guys who will be starters within their rookie contracts, which is huge. And it's just an incredible, incredible running back class, man.
Yeah.
We could go on for days.
Yeah.
We will go a little longer because of our technical difficulties. I'm going to ask we go till 2:40, in fact. So, yeah, I mean, it's obviously just an initial look at this running back class, but my God, this depth is nuts.
We need two.
We need two. If you could draft two, who would your two be?
Ooh, give me Travion Henderson and Damian Martinez.
It's a good one.
I mean,
that is a great one too. Gonna be hard pressed to come up with a better one. In fact,
in a perfect world, somehow you could get Jeanty and Travion Henderson. To me, it's the easy answer. Realistically, though, like either one of those guys in the first round and somehow land a Caleb Johnson, that would be insane, and that's probably still unrealistic.
Imagine a world where you're not spending 2 top 100 picks on running backs, but you're still drafting 2.
But okay, in this class,
Maybe that's where you get into an Ollie Gordon.
But this is the thought. I remember what the Broncos did in 2020 when that wide receiver class was crazy.
Yeah.
They took Jerry Jeudy in the first, and I think wasn't their next pick. They took KJ Hamler. It's different for running backs.
Yeah.
I wouldn't advise doing it that way. Your first 2 picks, but you need to use premium picks on the running backs in this class.
I 100% agree.
I would say take Brashard Smith and then get Raheem Sanders.
I like that.
Bang, bang.
I like that as well. You
By
also
the way,
like,
Marion Barber was the old Cowboys running back. I was struggling to think of.
wow, that is a good one.
He was sick.
Yeah, he was so aggressive finishing runs until he ran out of bounds that game, and everything kind of ended there.
Had the best 2-yard run in the NFL history too.
Yep.
He did.
No doubt. We all love Marion Barber. Talk through Combine?
Yeah.
Okay, great. We've got 5 minutes for those of you watching us on our fast channels. Check us out on the website. Guys, we want to underperform, so they drop to the Broncos. Guys, we're looking to have big performances. Guys with the most to lose. How bad would Colston Loveland, Tyler Warren, or Ashton Jeanty have to run for them to safely drop to the Broncos?
4-5. But
For Jeanty?
I think Jeanty easily clears that.
Yeah.
I think. I mean,
Also 4-5, I think he's still going top
Sure.
25, right?
Speed is overrated for running backs.
For
let's be
running
honest.
backs, it really
Look,
is.
I love Travion Henderson.
Henry's struggling
I've-
with this.
I totally agreed a year or two ago after watching these Broncos running backs, after watching Saquon, and after watching Jahmyr Gibbs, and they're guys again who are hitting those home runs. And to me, the difference between like being able to take a run from the 50-yard line to the end zone because you just have that juice at the end and taking it down to the 15 or the 10, it just feels so big right now. And
But we've talked so much about Javonte. If he
Totally.
was just pre-injury, Javonte pre-injury was not a 4-4
No.
guy. Like, I can't even remember what he ran at the combine, honestly.
totally.
But he would, the way he would just break off chunk runs, 15, 20-plus yard runs. Like, I don't need 60-yard runs every game. I need 2 or 3 20-plus yard runs.
Which is fair. But again, if you can find a guy who can do both, I am willing to pay the premium to get that.
Absolutely.
And I know that there is a pretty big premium to go get. You know, Jeanty can do that. Caleb Johnson, I think, can do that. I think even like a Devin.
I think Caleb
I'm willing to-
Johnson's going to fly.
I think
Yeah.
he's going to fly as well.
Also, like, how fast does Travion Henderson run to where you start to become concerned that he doesn't even get to the Broncos at 20?
4-3, he's going top 15, I think,
yeah.
which he can probably
And I think
do.
he will.
Yeah.
Like it's going back to your question, Ashton Jeanty was your first, like, how fast or how slow does he have to be to fall to the Broncos? We looked up LaDainian Tomlinson because the more I go back and watch LaDainian Tomlinson, that is the comp. As insane as it sounds, he ran a 4.39. I don't know that Jeanty can do that because again, he is like short, and I think he has that breakaway speed. 4.39 though, it flies, and I wonder if like a 4.45 gets him to the Broncos. Because again, most mock drafts at this point have him falling to the Broncos. He kind of needs to run well to get in front.
I think a 4-4, though, pushes him to,
You think so?
like, where I have him ranked.
For context sake, Javonte ran a 4.57
Yeah.
40-yard dash.
Yeah.
And I thought the speed was
Absolutely.
plenty fine.
Absolutely.
Warren and Loveland are the more interesting ones.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do you expect out of guys like that?
What did Bowers run?
He didn't run.
So I would not expect either of them to run either then.
I think that's smart. Yeah.
Yeah. Warren is interesting. Because honestly, if he goes out there and runs like in the 4.6s, you're not shocked. I think
No, but that'd be a good time.
yeah,
Especially if he measures at 6'6", 260. That's a great time.
he looks fast though. Like when you watch him, he looks
Yeah,
fast.
but for 260 pounds,
know.
4'6" is fast.
Totally. I think that he can
super
get even
fast.
lower though, because sometimes we see that with the big guys who train for the combine, they get in 4.5s or even like as crazy as it sounds.
4.5, he's going top 7 as people have
Yeah.
him mocked. We're going to overtime real quick.
Okay.
If you're watching go to the website to check us out. Love you lots.
Yeah. 4.7s though is where I think he could fall to the Broncos.
Yeah. Yes, I would agree. Loveland, like,
I think he's another. I think he
add
flies.
like a 0.5, like a 0.05 to that mix.
To what? Sorry.
To everything we said about Warren applies to Loveland, but I think
He's faster.
he
than
has to be a
He is.
smidge faster.
Yes.
So like
He is.
4.6, he drops to the Broncos comfortably, but I expect him more in the 4.55. 4.7 is a guarantee drops, but I expect more 4.65.
I think he might be in 4.4s.
I think so,
It's
too.
just
No
it's that
way.
build. It's that
Bro,
build. Like
that's
he is built for a
crazy,
40-yard
guys.
dash. Really?
That's crazy. Yeah, but he's 245 pounds.
Totally.
He's built like a receiver, though.
I think he breaks the
I know
4.5
he's
mark.
built like Hawaii. Well, then he's not getting to 20, man.
Okay.
It's
What was
just
Pitts?
like
Pitts was 4.3.
trying to find it. Why
I don't
have they
think he was
changed
4.3.
these?
Was he not?
They've
No.
changed these combine prospect
not.
pages to
Well,
where
yeah, they
4.44.
take him off the site,
was
which is
4.44.
ridiculous. 4.4?
4.44. For some
Yep.
reason, I thought that he had gotten under.
Pitts?
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's insane.
It is insane.
It is insane.
It is insane. Like, it's
Um,
just when you look at the way Colston Loveland's built, like that is a man God created to run a 40-yard dash.
I guess.
I think we'll see.
It's just like there's realistic expectations and then there's your expectations,
Yeah, maybe that is more of like a. Maybe I am calling my shot a little too much.
You're like the girlfriend who's been buying purses with the NIL money. You think anything's possible at this point. You think a 4.2's in play.
4.4 would be
it's not 4.2.
outrageous, but
It's not
4.5 is perfectly fine.
Evan Ingram was a
and
4.42.
would be blazing. I'm really watching these top left tackles and their measurements. I think the days of Will Campbell being mocked in the top 5 are soon to be over if he measures with 32-inch arms, as the speculation has been. I don't see how that guy's a top 10 pick if that's the case.
Whenever I've watched him, I've always seen him more as an interior player.
Yeah.
He seems too stiff for me at tackle.
And I've seen move him at right tackle. I need even more size at right tackle.
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
Yeah.
Trying to have a teeny tiny little right tackle? That is set my strong
bad
side
idea.
like that? No
It's
thanks.
a bad idea.
Kevin Banks, to a similar extent, what's he's going to measure in at, And arm length might be less of a thing. His height might be more of a thing. Because he doesn't strike me as super. And then Josh Simmons, the Ohio State kid. I think he could jump into that QB, that left tackle 1 range. But he needs to have 34-inch arms. Donovan Jackson, the left guard converted to left tackle for Ohio State, rumored to have 36-inch arms.
Wow.
Which is, that's true. I'm
Yeah.
doing cartwheels,
Sign me up.
sign
Imagine
me
a
up for
cartwheel with
that.
those arms.
And then Cam Williams, exactly, the right tackle for Texas. He's totally a guy you dream on. Does he have the measurables to match up? That'll be really interesting. And I'm looking at the undersized guys. Can they run fast to make up for that? Tez Johnson, first and foremost,
He's gonna
Bo's
be
former teammate. But if he runs a 4.5, he's lasting until the 6th round.
Yeah.
That's
And with those short little legs, there's a chance.
So
he
I'm
runs
looking
a
at-
4.2 though. He might go 2nd round.
And like if we were being super smart about it, it'd be like it's the 10-yard burst with him. Like he is somebody who it's like the shiftiness, the get off, all that sort of stuff. 'Cause to me, he's not built for
It's the agility.
exactly.
He's
but
a
like
3-cone
Three-cone
Nathan.
guy.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that he's a 40. He's not built for a 40-yard dash.
I know, but try
he still might
explaining
fly.
that to draft Twitter when
I
he
agree.
runs a 4.47 and everyone's
I agree.
like, whoa.
And at the end of the day, that is kind of the appeal. Is like he is shifty underneath, and that's where he's going to be his best. It's the ability to then go upfield and hit a home run that really separates him.
Right. 100%.
And 40-yard dash does in some ways matter for that.
Receivers in the combine for sure, like day 3 targets, day 2 targets. The Colorado guys in particular, Jimmy Horn, if he can run a 4.3, his draft stock's going to go way up.
Yep.
LaJohntay Wester is going to be in contention to run the best 3-cone drill, I think, out of this wide receiver group.
He's very Tez Johnson-y.
Yep.
He's we have Tez Johnson at home. You
Probably.
know?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow,
I was like,
yeah.
I want Tez Johnson. Like, no, we have Tez Johnson at home. What
Guys like Jack Beck, like I'm interested to see him.
Yeah.
Trey Harris, even Torrey
Trey
Horton,
Harris.
guys like that.
Trey Harris is going to be a fun one because he's another one.
4.4 or better, we're talking about
Yep.
him as a top 25 prospect.
Yes, God built him to run a 40. He's another one of those.
And Savion Williams, my guy. If he has a big combine.
I've seen the Savion hype start to pick up.
Yep.
Draft Twitter, I give you this task also talking about Trey Harris. If you want to hype up Jackson Dart, try to do so by not using clips from his first 4 weeks non-conference games.
Please.
Yeah. Show
okay.
me clips from
Okay.
October and November in actual SEC play because we were talking about him a month into the season when he
Yep.
led the nation in passing yards. We were
That's-
talking
yeah.
about him. But then why did we stop talking about him? Well, he made us stop talking about him.
Totally. And that's when, again, talking to Tyler upstairs, it's like, okay, every week you take the Ole Miss over. Now is that time of the year when it's just they're cooking. But it was different after that.
Harold Fannin Jr., my guy. What's he got to run, guys? 4.5?
What has he got just to meet expectations?
To stay in that, like,
Maybe he is a second rounder.
top 60 mix.
Yeah.
4.6. And I think you're fine with him. But
Yeah.
4.5 would be
4.63.
phenomenal.
Okay. I like that.
Right?
For what?
Fannin. Sub 4.63 and we're good.
Oh, yes. I see
Over
what you
that,
mean
we
now.
might
Yeah.
be in trouble.
Yes,
Yep.
yes.
What do you guys think my boy Brashard Smith runs?
He could be one of the fastest backs, too.
He could be. Again, he's just that right kind of athlete.
I mean, there's some A-chain to his game.
Sure.
There's some A-chain to his game, no doubt.
What did A-Chain run?
He was
Like a 4.2,
lightning,
brother.
bro. Yeah.
Yeah. Like a 4.2.
I'm not seeing
He ran
combine
a
props up yet.
4.32.
Wow.
Yeah. For a running back, that's lightning.
Yeah, that's lightning. Because again, like Terrell Davis ran a 4.6. DD might have ran a 4.7. But like Emmett Smith ran a high
This is
4.5.
Some of that
like
is different
it's-
eras, though, right? Where it's like that's now everybody trains for the 40-yard dash.
But
Everybody's
the-
like a coach. Everybody's
But
working on their
Josh
track chart.
Jacobs ran a 4.5.
Exactly. Hank, that's
Alvin
what-
Kamara
that's
ran
what
a
I'm saying,
4.5.
though. Like, it'd be nice to have the speed, like all of that in one package for
Totally.
sure. But if your starting running back runs a 4.5 and they have everything else, vision, they can catch the ball, you
Yep.
can break tackles, like you're fine.
Yeah, but uphill battle to ever be like an all-pro. Again, I grew up on Clinton Portis.
Sure, yes.
I grew up on Clinton Portis, and again, without that top-end speed, his 1,600-yard season, 1,400 yards.
But we
which is
also
no
had-
big deal. But I will pay the premium to go get that guy.
We had Reuben Drones and
True,
Mike Anderson
true.
in those eras.
True,
Like,
and they have their roles, but it has been so long. The Broncos have been lacking speed for so long.
I
Give me a
100%
guy
agree.
who will break the game open. But who, if you give him the crease at his own 10, he'll be gone.
I 100% agree.
Caleb
they
Johnson's that guy. Caleb
Kind of
Johnson's that
had
guy.
a speed back in Jaleel, right? And it didn't matter.
Don't start this,
I don't
bro.
like that.
Look,
I'm just
I
saying.
don't. He's speed, but he's not. He's
Wasn't
not game breaking
didn't
speed.
Audric Estime run a good?
He's faster than Audric.
Audric did not have a good 40. I remember that.
Okay.
Yeah, big hands though.
Look, great
Huge
story.
hands.
I'm going to break people's hearts here, but
Jaleel ran a
we
4.51.
can do better than Jaleel McLaughlin.
Jaleel ran a 4.51. He is not that speed. One more on Caleb Johnson because I think he is going to fly, and I know we've talked about it, but I went into
Gordon prototype.
and
Oh, Lord.
I
Just
watched
saying,
Caleb
man.
Johnson right before I watched Ollie Gordon, and my thought was, what if Ollie Gordon had this offensive line? What if he was just getting these massive holes? He'd do it.
Yeah.
I don't think he would. I think Caleb Johnson hits that hole fast enough. I think he flies after that. I was impressed by the fact that like this is probably me not knowing ball enough. I was surprised that Iowa was running zone as much as they did. I thought that was like a gap power team, but it's all these like zone runs. He's picking his spots. He's reading those. I think that if you then take him and put him in like a gap scheme, tell him you go here and you're going to get that head of steam, I think that plays up even more. So I think he goes out there and I think he puts up a crazy time. He's that combination of size and power.
He for sure is putting up
and
a
on
crazy
top of
time.
that does have that breakaway speed. Like he's pulling away from DBs. That's where I'm at with him. And that's my expectation is insane. It's similar to Colson Loveland. I think he's 4.3s.
I just struggle with the when there's contact around the line of scrimmage, he doesn't go for many yards.
I agree.
And I think that matters way more than hitting the homers.
I agree. And I that was my big knock. And I think that, again, though,
and I think
there was
like
one
Rocket
run in
Sanders
particular
better.
against Minnesota where there's like 6 guys in the hole, and you're like, oh, I guess that did get blocked up better. But maybe he just broke 6 arm tackles so quickly that you don't even notice that just happened. Like, I think that when he breaks those tackles, it's just so easy that you don't realize he's breaking tackles. And he might not have to like get down behind his pads and like plow forward.
I'm paying attention, trying to see where the contact occurs.
Fair. I think he just hits it so quickly. It's like it's like when you're driving a car, you see a pothole, and you're just like, oh wait, I thought that was gonna be a lot worse. I think there's a lot of that with him.
His
Where it's
change
like,
of direction at full speed is good. The way he's able to take runs to the outside and like break tackles that way is good. I mean, look, for every Melvin Gordon prototype, there's a chance of a Derrick Henry prototype.
Yeah.
He's just not Derrick Henry sized.
Of course.
Again,
You are.
My note was he doesn't have a lot of
He's a
beast
unicorn.
mode in him.
Yeah.
Doesn't have a lot of beast mode in him.
No, doesn't.
But I wonder if maybe I'm underrating that. And if he can fly.
Potentially.
This is why we take 2. We don't need to find the back that has the best combination of everything. Find yourself a speed back and find yourself a pure runner.
But
don't expect everything and everyone to be my wife's chocolate chip cookies.
Exactly.
Just don't.
Well done.
But what if Ashton Jeanty is there at 20? Because the guy does exist in this draft. The guy, the do everything guy's there.
I mean,
I wouldn't be upset.
He exists this year. He doesn't exist every year, but the do everything, has everything guy, he's gonna be gone first round at some point. Might be 20.
I'm for it.
so are we rooting for a slow 40? Like as Broncos fans,
that's the
should
tough
we be
part.
watching, being like, "Come on, Genty, give me a nice 4-5 or worse"?
Yeah.
He's not going to be there when the Broncos draft.
I mean,
They're gonna have to trade
he's
up for
fourth
him.
on
I
my
agree.
board. There's just I do not see it. This is Christian McCaffrey.
Yes.
Christian McCaffrey getting mocked like late first or second going into the combine, and then it's like, oh, he ran a 4.4. Like, oh, he's a top 15 pick, and then he went top 10.
Yeah. I remember late December saying, like, at some point it's gonna feel like it's possible for the Broncos to get Jeanty at 20. And that moment came in like January, out of nowhere. You're like, wait, all these mock drafts have him like Broncos or even later than the Broncos, and it just hasn't changed. And it's been a month now where everybody's this low on Ashton Jeanty, and I still think at some point he ticks back up.
Yep.
But we're getting to
sure.
the point where it's been
There's the market correction coming for sure.
the market hasn't corrected yet, and it hasn't corrected for so long that I'm starting to get hopeful when I had staved off that hope for so long.
Well, you're worried you don't know ball. I know
I am.
that some of these anonymous scouts,
Iowa's a
they
zone
really
team?
don't know ball. Jesus Christ.
Iowa's
They'll
a zone
say
team?
anything, these anonymous scouts.
Yeah.
It's,
Also, I don't watch anime.
It's that time of year, bro.
It is. It is. I need to choose chill, not get so upset.
Exactly.
I'm choosing till tonight. Now I hit the point where it's like, am I just sitting here for 3 hours, or am I
Hell
driving
yeah.
home and back?
That's always a tough
Love
decision.
it always is.
It's always
Love
a tough
that.
one.
I loved you guys all tuning in. Saw a lot of just amazing comments. Thank you so much to the people who say you look forward to this all week. I really appreciate that.
You're
That
my
means
people.
so much.
Those
Will
people
Rin
are
or
my
451?
people.
You guys are the
They
best.
have a speed back.
Absolute sickos. The best
451.
people in the world. Who?
Jaleel. We have a speed back.
That's faster than Alvin
Cook.
Kamara.
It's true.
Joker.
Patrick
man.
Mahomes, Peyton Manning, same 40 time.
Shit. And on that note, we'll be back next week. Thanks so much for tuning in. Mad love to you all. Thanks to the Schwan man, Big Hank, and Riley behind the sticks. Have a great day. Bye.